Good people, ladies and gentlemen, I've recently created a new melee combo, or a melee combo build, slightly different to my previous ranger, so I thought I would share my thoughts. So I believe this version is better than my last build, and I'll put some notes down in the no more section, and it gives like a bit more of an in-depth explanation of why, if you can't understand what I'm saying. So let's get into it. Previously I was using the melee and the Tactical Onslaught launcher as my primers, and the last argument, grenade or augment, everyone says it's a little bit different, as the solo detonator. So I had 2 primers, 1 detonator. But I found that 2 detonators, 1 primer is actually more efficient. So to increase the combo output, I've now swapped the Tactical Onslaught. So if we come in here, before I was using the Tactical Onslaught, and I've swapped it out for the reoccurring Vengeance, as I believe it's just better. You're just getting more combo hits. So let's just jump into things, and I'll try to explain the best I can. So for the components, I'm using Second Wind, as it gives a 25% damage for all weapons. So that's important. That's for all weapons. So I'm assuming that's also for your grenade and your ultimate as well. Then I'm using the Victor's Resolve for the 50% blast damage, plus you get a 2-hit combo that restores 25% armour. So that really adds to your survivability. Next, using the Vanguards Badge. Next we're using the Airborne Advantage, as it gives 50% impact damage, which helps with your guns and your melee. And even though this and the Victor Resolve, they sort of nullify each other out slightly, because you lose 20% if you run both of them, you will still gain an overall 30% increase for both. Plus you get the masterwork abilities as well. So for that one, it gives hovering increases or resistance by 25%. That doesn't really suit this build, because you're not going to be hovering. You want to be in close, like hitting and bashing and running around. But for that one, of course, you get that 25% armour restoration, which is very, very handy. So then we'll move on to the Vanguards Badge, as I get 40% melee damage, which is huge because we're using melee as our primer, as our sole primer, so we're using it a lot. Plus performing a melee restores 40% shields. And again, that is a really important thing, especially when you're playing Grandmaster 3, even Grandmaster 2 sometimes, but that's not really that challenging. That it'll save you so many times. When your shield drops down, you just jump in, bang, melee, 40%. So melee 2 people, you got your full shield back straight away. So then I was down here, before I was using the Focus 3s, because I was using that as a primer, because if you hit multiple shots, you would freeze the enemy. But I've found, actually, I swapped it out for the General's Favour, as this gives me a 40% speed boost for the grenade recharge. So basically, you get to use your grenade twice as fast, plus a 45% middle mouse button damage if hitting the enemy with a melee. So you can see everything's starting to revolve around the melee, because the melee is really now being affected by about 3 different components. And again, because it's our primer, we're going to be using it a lot. And lastly, we have the Combined Arms, which gives a 30% grenade damage, which is great because we're using grenade for one of our detonators. Plus hitting an enemy with mouse 5 gives a 45% middle mouse button boost, or damage boost. So I'll go into detail about how this all works together. Okay, because it's nearly impossible to find a full team for GM3 Strongholds or GM3 Legendary Missions. On GM3, just quick mission, quick play. So at least there's one other guy to help us out, so we can see. Let's have a look and see how it pans out. Okay, so to explain all this, for my setup, mouse 5 is my assault launcher, and the middle mouse button is my grenade. So once I melee to prime the enemy, I will get an instant 45% damage for all of, well, for my middle mouse button, which is my grenade, which then I will use as my detonator. And when I melee again, I will use my assault launcher, this time as the detonator, and then I will get another 45% gear damage for the next time I use my grenade, which would be the next attack. So to simplify the process, it works like this: melee, grenade, melee, assault, melee, grenade, and just keep repeating that process, as by the time that you generally use the grenade, your assault launcher is already recharged, and vice versa. The melee itself has practically an instant recharge, so you don't need to wait on that. So you will see in gameplay, just jump in, melee, throw a grenade, jump out again, jump in, jump out, just keep repeating that process. And on the screen you'll notice, you'll see that the General's Favour and the combined arms consistently is running, so that means that your components are working as they should be, and you're getting that extra boost from them. And then also notice that the 40% shield restore you get from each melee hit keeps your shields up, so you should really always be at max shields. And of course, every now and then you'll come into a tough sort of situation or a tough spot, and don't sort of run away and hide. Like if everything goes bad and you go down to red critical, just jump in, do that melee, because you're going to get the 40% shield instantly, and if you melee 2 people, you get the 80%. Plus, if we went back and we had a look at our other components, we're going to get that 40% damage, or not damage, that 40% shield or maximum armor for the Victor Resolve. So every time we get a small multi-hit, we restore 25% armor. So if you jump in and you melee multiple enemies, you could get like 50% armor in one hit. And on a side note, for the Ranger, when it comes to guns and the support, try to use anything that can boost your shield, gear charge, or damage, and probably in that order. Armor is not as important for the Ranger as it is for other javelins, because not only do we have armor, we also have shield, and generally it's the shield that will keep you alive. Your armor goes down really quick. Once you lose your shield, if you can't get that back up, then usually 9 times out of 10 you would die, or that's where you'd run away and try to get your health back. And until they 100% fix the loot, don't really worry about that too much, because at the moment I don't think it really impacts your chances for legendary drops. I've played around with it a lot, and yeah, I think it's more luck on just if the game gives you a legendary drop or not. I've tried with like ridiculous amounts of luck and got nothing, and I've tried with running no luck and got them, and vice versa. So whenever they fix that, if they do fix that, then you could go back and readdress if you need to sacrifice some other component or ability to get luck in. And generally for the guns, I'll use like an LMG because I want that inside fast aggressive play. And I only use one gun, even though I have two equipped. The second gun is purely just for the extra ability, so I'll always pick my second gun that has the highest shield or armor boosts. So for myself, that's the Rainer's Blaze, and I get like a 90% shield and a 65% armor boost. Plus I think I'll get like a 10% recharge, health recharge, and maybe some 25% ammo or something like that. So these are just some other things to consider when you're playing around with the build. Okay, so sit back and enjoy how it all pans out.
And you should draw out the spy.
Well, it would have been successful, except I got lazy and died on that last 5 seconds of play. I'm worried about that crystal. So you can see, it works pretty good. So I'll play around, and I might try to swap out a few different components Maybe I might try a tip of the spear because that gives you the combo 40% combo build or bonus. So maybe I might change out. Oh, I'm not sure what to change out. Might change out maybe the 25% gun damage. We'll see how it works out.